Hello students, this is Divarjana Raut, lecturer in Computer Science. In today's slides, we will discuss about pin connectors. In our previous slides, we have been discussing about different components of the motherboard. So we will discuss today the pin connectors on the motherboard. There are two standard motherboard connections picture seen over here. In the left panel does not have any monitor hookup, so it would require you to have a video card in the left panel. The right panel does have a monitor hookup, so you don't have any option, or we don't have to need any video card in this. So let's first start that what are those connectors on the motherboard, placed on the motherboard. The very first connector we can see is the PS2 connection, that is the mouse connector, PS2 mouse connector. So the second port we see is the PS2 keyboard connector. We have already discussed about the mouse and keyboard connector in our previous slides. The third slide is the optical out connections. This connection provides digital audio output to the external audio system that supports digital optical audios. The fourth connector is the USB connections. The number of these will vary with the motherboard from 4 to 8 USB connectors. So we can see the USB connectors have different ranges as 2 USB 2 0.2 or USB 3 0.3. These work at different versions of USB connectors. The fifth is the 6-channel sound connector. Depending on the chipset we get, this have 3 to 6 connections. Refer to the motherboard manual for where it goes in each connections. It also connects speaker, microphones, headphones. In this we can connect all this in any of the 6 channels sound connectors. Next we have Ethernet connector. This is where we will plug in the internet connection, that is ether cable, DSL phone lines, fiber optics, modem cables. So this is known as Ethernet connections. So next we have pin firewire connection. This is usually used for external hard drive connections and for other high-speed devices. Next we have 6-pin firewire connection. This is also used for external hard drive connections or other high-speed devices. Next we have coaxial output connection, which is known as SPDIF output connections. These connections provide a digital audio out to an external audio system that supports digital coaxial audio. Next we have LPT1 port, which is used for printer connections. We have DVI-D port, which is used for LCD monitor connections. We have D-sub port, which is used for cathode ray tube monitor connections. Here we can see the motherboard architecture and the block diagram of the entire motherboard. So what it contains, we have already discussed about the CPU slot or CPU circuit. We have discussed about the memory slots, or we can say it as RAM slots. We have discussed about the chipset, that is the north bridge and the south bridge. We have discussed that north bridge basically handles all the memory. It is known as memory controller hub. It also controls the graphics. It is also known as it controls the AGP slots, that is accelerated graphic ports. We have already discussed the clock chip and we have discussed about the BIOS and CMOS. We have discussed about different ports, that is keyboard, mouse, serial and parallel ports. We have also different network cable connections as Ethernet, USB, IDE connectors. So all are these the block diagram of the motherboard. In our next slides, we will be discussing about different processors, that after a single processor is been used, how we used different multiprocessors. When there are two processors, it is known as quad core processor. When there are two processors, it is known as dual processor. When there are four processors, it is known as quad core processor. So these are the different processors we will be discussing in our next slides. So this much for this slide. Thank you.